president, like, you know, they have just unbelievable vision and support for athletics, and we're very fortunate to have that. So, obviously we're a Division II school in the Mountain East Conference, which is it's becoming a really competitive baseball league. And there's a lot of great baseball here being played in the Mountain State, and I think we're on the forefront of that. So, winningest program since 2017 in West Virginia, and like I said, we're just very blessed to have a lot of support and have some great people here in place that allow us to have that success.
That's awesome. Coach, tell us a little bit about the school academically and everything, programs they have, everything like that, to where kids can, get a little better feel for, what's in there academically and everything, and what the school looks for academically.
Yeah, well, it's the premier academic institution in West Virginia. So the way I like to describe it is that it's got just this great mixture of, the ability to have success on the field while still maintaining what we call a transcendent student athlete experience. So, in coming to Charleston, there is a level of expectation in the classroom. And we have all of your typical majors. I would say the preeminent majors would be anything in the business field, whether it's sports business, business admin, business analytics. There's a lot of different choices. Accounting and finance is another very popular one. Or the medical field. You have nursing, PA school, biology, which is more of the general studies version of that. But there's a lot of different really great majors that we're afforded because of where we're located. Again, being in the business capital of the state, you've got a lot of great networking opportunities and internship opportunities right across the river. And the same thing on the medical side. You've got 3 hospitals located within about 5 miles of campus. Sure. And so, the opportunity to go and do some quality internships at Memorial Hospital or CAMC, or I believe Thomas Hospital out in South Charleston. Like, there's just a lot of different opportunities that, are afforded to our students and more specifically our student athletes, just based on where we're located. So, the expectation for us from a team standpoint is a 3.0 team GPA, which every semester that I've been here as the head coach, we've had above a 3.0 team GPA. This last semester was our highest since 2015 at a 3.21. And, I think just the expectation of saying, hey, we're going to be great in all facets of our program. The on-field piece, the winning baseball games piece, it's a byproduct of everything else that we do. So if we're successful in the classroom, success leaves clues, and it's going to leave clues on the baseball field and in the community that we serve and represent. And so, there is a high level of expectation, but a degree from Charleston means something. And I think that that's, especially in this climate, this environment that we're in now, where there's so many educational choices, having a degree that carries some weight and it's going to allow you to not only get the job, but have upward mobility in that career path. And that's so valuable. And I think that's what we provide here at Charleston. So, we're pretty fortunate. And I think that was one of the big things for my wife, Courtney, and I and our family coming to UC was, hey, we want to be at a place where the university has staying power. It has the ability to really develop and then graduate what we call leaders, or people that are going to go out into the world and have a chance to make a valuable impact. And so, that's one of the things that drew us to UC, and that's one of the things that we continue to excel at from the academic side.
Coach, you guys, I know the program well. I've followed it since I was there and played and everything. And one of the things that I can see is and it's something that I try to do with my teams and players all the time, and I'm sure every coach does. It's the word culture. And it's, you're looking to build something. And I mean, I think so many parents get away or don't look at what the total thing is you're trying to do. How do you build in your baseball program that culture, that cohesion, and that, the play for everybody contribute and everything like that. How do you go about building that? I know that you have a ton of coaches. I always call you the MLB of Division II with everything, but it's hard blending so many people together. Talk a little bit about your approach to it, Coach.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you asking that question. And I do think it's something that we excel at. And I don't know if culture is the word that we use, because I think it's just so cliche. We try to almost sometimes avoid it inside of our program. But we do talk about a standard a lot, and a standard that we basically pinpoint to everything that we do. So, there's a standard when we're in the classroom, there's a standard in the community, there's a standard inside of our baseball program, and just the way that we go about things. And I one of my mentors, Coach Corbin at Vanderbilt, he talks about it as people plus process equals product. And I know Andrew, used to say the same thing, and that's something that we've continued to model here. So, you specifically talked about our coaching staff, which, I think it's one of the most unique parts of our organization. And it's honestly one of the parts that I'm most passionate about. So, the common misconception is that we have all these coaches running around that are on like full-time salary and benefits and all that stuff. But in reality, I only have one full-time assistant. And so the rest of those positions, then I have 2 GA positions. And then there's a lot of those individuals who, for one reason or another, they're basically paying to be a part of our staff. And the reason why is that, we have created a staff culture where you can come in and you can be the head coach of your position group, and you can have an unbelievable amount of autonomy, kind of a baptism by fire approach sometimes, where, you're going to get a front door opportunity to get into this profession, which is the hardest part. And I think that as being somebody around it, and, having once been that guy. I was 22 years old when Jim McGuire took a chance on me at Middle Tennessee State. I just needed an opportunity. And that's what a lot of these young people need when they're trying to get into the profession. And so what you see is like the last 6 coaches on our staff are now in professional baseball, or they are in a full-time college baseball role. So whether it's Ian McDonald, who was our recruiting coordinator, he was a GA, he's now the full-time assistant at Indiana Wesleyan. Beth Warner, who was on our staff as a development coach last year, now she is the full-time assistant at Lebanon Valley in Pennsylvania. And so you just see story after story of people taking advantage of that front door opportunity and then getting another opportunity because of the work that they did here. The recipient of those people are our student athletes. Our student athletes get to be around young professionals that are completely invested in their development. And that's what I tell the coaches when they come in. It's like, hey, you may be here for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years at the max, but your expectation is that you make this place your masterpiece. Like, you got all this freedom, you have all this autonomy, you're going to be the head coach of your position group, you're going to be the expert of whatever area that you're working in. All I ask is that you make it your masterpiece while you're here. Pour your heart and soul into it, spend time, spend your energy learning, developing, growing your craft, and you're going to get other opportunities because of what you do here. And so that's the people part. And then the next piece is the process part. So for us, if you were to come watch us train, it's there's a lot of moving parts, but we try to almost take a piece out of college football. And I think college baseball in general is light years behind college football as a whole, from the way that we staff our program to the way that we recruit to the way that we develop our student athletes. I think that may not be popular to say, but I think it's the truth. We're light years behind college football. And so we can make excuses about the investment not being there, the resources not being there, or we can just be resourceful and we can find creative ways to develop our people and create processes that are going to allow us to create a more efficient and a better product. And so I think that's what we've tried to do on the process side, whether it's meeting in the baseball classroom every day, watching film of training sessions, not just individual film, but team film. So, if you were to go watch a football game, you're going to see the all 22 view. If you come watch us train, we have the all 18 view. So it's up above the press box, and we're going to watch for positioning, the way people move, and we're going to film that every day. And then of course we have the more prototypical filming angles, like the open view to the hitter, the center field camera for when we're scrimmaging. But, just finding unique ways where we can build in clean, consistent, efficient processes for our players. I think that helps create a consistent product. And so, when you combine the people in the process, typically you get a great product. And I think that in turn creates a great culture.
Great. That's I'm telling you, I love your answers and the information. Let's get into a little recruiting now. Yeah, you and I talk a lot, and we talk about kids and everything. From Coach Britt and his staff, type of kids, type of player you're looking to bring in to UC. I mean, like you were saying earlier, I mean, your thing is to be a perennial top 10 team in Division II. I know that, and you guys are so close. Talk about the types of kids that you want to bring in to be part of your program, Coach.
Yeah, well, again, it may not be the popular thing to say, but I do believe that there's, whether we want to admit it or not, there's a minimum threshold for your ability level. Like that's the first box that you have to check is, can this individual help us on the field win? And when Coach is talking recruiting about like the right fit, that's part of the right fit. And it is for the program's sake. Like we have to make sure that we're bringing in talented individuals who can help us win at a Division II level. But there's also the piece where it's in the best interest of the kid, of the prospect, of the player to be in a program where he is going to have a chance to be successful. And so I think a lot of times, when we say that, people are like, wow, that's really sort of an earth-shattering statement. Like you shouldn't be saying that, but, I was a Division III player. I was a Division III coach. Like the type of individuals that we were, number one, able to recruit athletically, but then also that we needed to recruit athletically to win looks different than what it does at UC. It looked different than what it was when I was at Middle Tennessee State. So, I think that's the first box. And then from there, we were actually talking about that in our staff meeting, this morning at 8:00, like the puzzle pieces are next. We call them OKGs, which I stole from, a couple different people. But it stands for our kind of guys. Like they got to fit. And at Charleston, I tell every recruit that sits in our office the same line: we are not for everybody. And I mean that sincerely. Like if it's just about baseball, there are places for you, but it's not Charleston. And of course, that's the cliche, like everybody loves to hear it. But again, that comes from a really genuine place, because what we have found is that the individuals that don't work here for whatever reason, a lot of times it's because they are only focused, their only care is about baseball. And again, that's not a bad thing. There are schools for that individual. But for us, we take more of a holistic approach. We think it's more of a long lasting approach to, player development and person development. And that requires you to be good in the classroom. It requires you to have the desire, or at least have the care level to go out and serve the community. And so, individuals that work really well in our program are guys that have a high care level, that have a little bit more of a worldly view. Maybe it's a little bit more maturity. Maybe it's just more of a different life perspective, but they find value in serving others. They find value in what they're learning in the classroom, as well as, being a part of an organized, efficient baseball program. Some people don't want that. Some people want to go to a baseball program where they're going to show up every day. They'll have a handwritten practice plan, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They're going to go out and do the same practice every day. That's not the way that it works for us. There's a lot on our training plan. It takes some time to learn how to navigate that plan every day. And then it's very fast paced. We're going to be trying to do some different things. And there's days where we have to scale back and simplify for one of a number of reasons. But, for the most part, like if you're inside of our training environment, we're trying to train you at a game-like pace. So, there's a number of different qualities that go into that. But the first piece is they got to fit athletically. And then from there, they have to be seeking the same things that we're offering. So, I think the last piece that I'll share with you, Tom, on this is, a lot of people use the word selling in the recruiting process. And, I tell our staff and I tell recruits, like, we are not trying to sell on anything. All we're trying to do is showcase what we have. I think we got a great product. We have an exceptional product. But, it's kind of like the equivalent if you go to a used car dealership and you want to buy a Chevy, right? And you go to the Ford dealership. Well, that person can't necessarily, showcase you or sell you on a Chevy because all they offer are Fords. And so really it just comes back to, what that individual wants out of a baseball program. And then, on our side, do we offer that or do we not offer that? So, that's kind of the piece to the puzzle that, I think when we look at the transfer portal, and I'm not trying to go down a rabbit hole here because I know that's a touchy subject, but I really believe that a lot of times people end up in the transfer portal because what they say they want is different than what they use to make their decisions. So they may say they want to be a part of a holistic program that offers academics at a high level, but then they make their decision based on playing time opportunities or the facilities or the gear or the coaching staff, and going back to our staff, like, that's a conversation that I have to have with every recruit is if you are making this decision based on a coach, an assistant coach or a position coach, you're going to be disappointed because that person probably won't be here when you get here. And so you have to make the decision based on the program. And, part of that is who's leading the program. I understand that, but a lot of it has to do with what that program offers. And no matter what assistant coach is in here, like, we have a document that we actually call the standard. It's a 14-page document that I wrote up actually during the pandemic. And part of it was out of a necessity with all the coaching staff changes that we had. I wanted to have one consistent document that would teach our staff how we're going to communicate, how we're going to organize ourselves, how we're going to show up professionally to the office every day. And so every coach that we hire goes through the standard. They get the same spiel. They read through the same document. So they have their own twist, their own style, their own personality, which is great. But every coach that comes into our program is going to uphold the standard that we have as a program. And so, I think going back to recruiting, those prospects, those prospective student athletes, they need to know that, the coach may change, but the standard is going to remain the same. And so, there's a lot of different pieces that go into the recruiting process, but if you can find a good athlete that fits what you offer and that what you offer fits what they want, usually, you got a pretty happy marriage there.
Absolutely. It's so funny. And because I tell all my clients, and I'm like, look, when you're sitting there looking to make your decision, I said, I'm going to really be happy with if I was not playing baseball, football, volleyball, softball, whatever, if I wasn't playing that sport there, that is where I want to go to school because it's going to take care of me the next 40 years of my life. And, you go through all that, and I'm right with you. I mean, the transfer portal, it is what it is, but I'm in complete agreement with you, Coach, that a lot of people will say, hey, they offer what I do, it's a good school and everything like that, and then you go in and the playing time doesn't work out right away, and boom, I mean they're out of there, and they don't take into consideration because I tell them, I mean, I have kids at Division I schools, Division II, Division III. I have a shortstop that's up at West Virginia now that played for me at Mars, who he's actually in there freshman, and I'm going to tell you what, he's doing good. He's a heck of a kid. But I was telling his parents, I'm like, oh, when he gets there I said, when you get there in the fall, because he verbally committed after his freshman year. And his dad called and he's like, man, he said, did you see WVU, got rid of half their roster? Well, it happens and everything. They have new people coming in. But I kept telling JJ, you're going to go out. And I said, be sure to shake all the eight people's hands that are around you out there. In the fall, your freshman year. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Hey, guy, that's how it's done." I mean, when I was with PBR and the Aces there, he had committed, and there were three other kids that played for us that were committed to play middle infield up there. So it's it's a fun thing. I mean, you have to ask all the questions. You have to set up the thing to make the right choices and everything like that. And I mean, and in the COVID thing, recruiting's gotten so crazy because I know you guys, and I mean, you can confirm, but I mean, you're looking a lot at kids coming down from Division I in the transfer portal and everything like that. So, I mean, it adds so much more into the process, and there's so much more for kids and parents to look at when looking for schools. I know it keeps me busy as I get more and more and more people from all over the country, and their things are different. I mean, I just got this thing out in California where I have this big, really good organization outside of San Diego that I'm doing the recruiting stuff for them. And it's because they want to go nationwide. And I mean, these kids have just gotten back to being able to play. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it is, and I do think I'll preface it by saying this, like, it's a part of our game, and you have two choices, right? Like, you can either deflect it and, complain about it, or you can embrace it and try to, maneuver it to the best of your ability. And so, I think for us, I never, we run into that a lot. I would say the vast majority of the kids that we lose are to Division I programs, and I think that's a reflection on where our recruiting has gotten itself to.
Sure.
That's a credit to guys like, Anthony Zona, who's still my pitching coach, but was the recruiting coordinator, Ian McDonald, Trevor Bierman, who was our last recruiting coordinator. Like, those guys have just increased the talent density of our program to where we're in that position. But I never get upset with a kid for wanting to chase that opportunity. I think the frustrating part, if there is a frustrating part, would be you feel like you have a great product and you feel like that individual, based on what they're telling you, would be a good fit. And then it doesn't work out that way. But, you can't get upset with a kid because I graduated from high school in 2011 and I had the same dream, right? Like, I grew up right outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. I wanted to play in the SEC just like everybody did. And then when you get into high school and you realize, hey, I'm probably not good enough there, then you want to play in the OVC or, the Big 12 or whatever the case might be. Like, you want to play at that level for a number of reasons. And then what happens as you start to gain experience, and once you get into the coaching side, is you realize, we have more resources than some Division I programs. But that's the only perspective or the only thing that will allow you to have that perspective is experience. And so
Sure.
you can never really get after an 18-year-old for wanting what they think is the best for themselves. And so, I think where we come into play is you got to do your due diligence in the portal. It's another layer. It's another element to the recruiting process. And the challenge for us, which I think it should be probably the challenge for a lot of people, is staying disciplined in the recruiting process. Now it's like, does this individual that has, let's say ACC by their name, or, OVC or whatever the case might be, Horizon League, does that person fit what we need and what we're trying to bring in? Or are we just trying to get them because of the title? Because again, especially with the elimination of roster limits during COVID, for that 2-year period. I think this year it's back in at 40 men for Division I. Like, with the elimination of that, you have a lot of kids that, may not be able to play at Charleston athletically. I'm just being honest, that, have Division I by their name, they're in the portal, but, if you do your due diligence, if you watch the video, that person may not fit. And so being disciplined in the recruiting process, something that, we stole from Dabo Sweeney at Clemson. He talks about that all the time. Like, that's the challenge. And especially in this generation that we're in, you got to be disciplined to what you need and what you want, or else you're going to get guys that just don't fit. So, it is what it is. It's just another layer to the recruiting process, but we've made the conscious decision to embrace it and to try to, leverage it to the best of our ability for our program's success.
Okay, Coach, finishing up, going to ask you three of the most positive things about this. Now, this is just for your player wise, about the school and everything like that. What are your three most positive, proud things about players in the school?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. Well, number one, I go back to our mission statement for the baseball program, which is creating a transcendent student athlete experience. So, you come to a place like Charleston and, you're going to get an experience, and I call it an experience that is going to allow you to leverage the tools in your toolbox for success in all different fields. I think like the cliche, Tom, is, I'm going to make you a better husband and father. And I always laugh at that because there's nothing that I can do or say that's going to make you a great husband or father, but there are tools in your toolbox that we can help develop, or that we can help put in that toolbox that will allow you to become a great husband and father down the road. I think like the skill of being selfless, is really difficult. But now being a husband and a father, like when I go home, I may want to watch, Peyton and Eli on Monday Night Football, but I walk in the house and we got, Tangled or Frozen on Disney Plus. Well, Ellie and Camp want to watch Disney Plus. Dad ain't watching ESPN. I can tell you that right now. And so it's one of those things where, developing that skill of selflessness, will allow you to make good choices down the road. And I think that's what we do a really good job of in our program. And we try to model that. We try to model that for our student athletes, whether it's our coaching staff. We meet in the cafeteria. We meet as a staff every morning, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 a.m., we meet in the cafeteria. And part of it is it gives us an opportunity to eat while we're talking. It kind of gives us a little bit more of a relaxed area where we can have some really good discussion. But the other piece is I love our players walking through and seeing us, number one, fuel our bodies hopefully the right way, but also conversate with one another and to show them that, hey, we're on the same page. We are producing an organized product for you, and we're investing our time together as a staff in order to do so. So, that's one thing that I think we do a great job of, is just the whole experience. And then from the school piece, that number two is you're going to get the best education in the state of West Virginia, without a doubt. And so, by coming to a place like Charleston, you're making a commitment to basically set yourself up for success in the rest of your life. And I think if you look at our alums, we graduated 11 seniors last year. All of them are either playing professional baseball or have they've gone professional in something other than sports. They've got a job out of college, which is not easy to do. And I think there's two that are in grad school. So they're making a further commitment to better themselves academically. And so, setting yourself up so that you're not just going home after college, but instead you're able to use your foundation that was created here to prepare yourself for the next chapter of your life. That's the next piece that I think we really do a great job of. And third, and I'm most passionate probably about this piece, is our commitment to serving the community. So Doctor,
you're touching on it, because I was going to hit you with it as soon as you got done. And it makes me proud, because I see your posts and everything like that. And I will say one thing, I think that you guys are you are as in touch with community service and working with people all around Charleston as I think any school that I've seen. And it makes me proud to see that they're out there and they're being selfless and giving of their time. And believe me, I know one thing, it's a learning experience for those kids.
No doubt. Yeah. And I appreciate you. It's humbling to hear you say that as an alum. I really mean that. I think it's something that personally, my personal mission statement is to encourage people to strive for excellence, meaning to be the best that they can be on a daily basis. And so, like, when I think of that, that has nothing to do really with yourself. Like, if you're going to be your best, then it has to come by making other people better. And, Dr. Roth, again, this goes back to the support that you have from your administration. Dr. Roth brought in this idea that, hey, we are the University of Charleston, therefore we are Charleston's university. So I tell our student athletes all the time, if we're going to be Charleston's university, then we have to get in touch. We have to connect and engage with the community, and the coolest thing, Tom, I'll share this with you, was, you have to put a bid in to host the regional. And Dr. Stevens and Coach Dogood, who's our women's soccer coach, associate AD, they did an unbelievable job with the bid and really set ourselves up to have a chance to host. You have to put in a budget. And the coolest thing was seeing the number of people that we projected to turn out versus the actual number of people that turned out in the regional. It was sloppy conditions. We were wearing jackets. It was cold. It was a weird kind of cold week in May that we rarely have at that time of year. But I mean, thousands of people came out over the course of that weekend to support us and, just baseball in the Kanawha Valley community. And so a lot of that had to do with, a little league that we had done a clinic for, or, Ronald McDonald House, who we have a long-standing relationship with, their staff coming over, or, United Way, who we helped do, some food pantry stuff with during the spring semester last year, Kanawha County Schools, who we're very involved with, all these different organizations, coming out to support us. And selfishly, it was cool because I tell our guys, I talk about this thing called the transfer of energy. If you supply energy, if you're a positive life force, which is another stolen phrase from Coach Corbin at Vanderbilt, he talks about that all the time. If you're a positive life force in somebody else's life, that energy will be transferred back to you. You don't know when, you don't know how, you don't know in what way, but there will be that transfer of energy. And so the coolest thing was you go and you spend hour after hour serving and helping and trying to just lend a hand, even if it's a small hand, for that to come back in the most meaningful moment and create an electric environment. It was an electric environment against a West Virginia State or a Millersville in the night game. It was one of the coolest experiences that I've had. And I think it just speaks to the type of community that we live in. I think Charleston's just a special place, but then also, what we've tried to do as a program. And, I'm thankful for our student athletes. I'm thankful for our coaches that have poured time into the community. And I think it's a separator for us. Like, I'm not saying other programs don't do it, but I think it's a separator for us. And it's something that if it's what you want and you want to have that embedded or injected into your veins, as far as being able to serve other people and see the benefit of that down the road, like, there's no better place to do that than UC.
That's cool. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on and being guest number one this fall. And I'm sure that I'll get some good feedback and everything from YouTube and all around on the video. People were asking me where the videos were, and it was in busy time. And I figured I'd get Eddie Santa's showcase done and then start it up. But looking forward to coming down to Charleston again soon. And anything that I can do, you have my number. Just give me a call.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, and I'd be remiss without plugging our social media. So at UCWV_baseball on Twitter, and then it's at UCWV baseball on Instagram. But you can follow along with what we're doing. And sincerely, we want to be involved in as many people's recruiting process and just really honestly their process for discovery, if they're trying to find the right fit for them. So any way that we can ever help, we try to always answer emails and phone calls, and we would love to be a part of that. So thank you for having me on and for being a great alum of our university and a great representative. We're fortunate to be associated with you.
I appreciate it, Coach. And yeah, you take care, and I will talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tom.
Yep.